Welcome to a visual journey through the fashion of the 1800s. In this video, we're using AI to bring the past back to life. Watch as we explore the clothing worn by men and women from different eras, from the simplicity of the Regency period to the opulence of the Victorian era and into the practicality of the Industrial Revolution. We'll show you how the changing world influenced the way people dressed and how AI can recreate history in ways we've never seen before. The early 1800s were defined by the elegance of the Regency era. Fashion was influenced by classical Greek and Roman styles, with women wearing empire waist gowns made of light, flowing fabrics. These dresses, often adorned with simple pleats or lace, allowed women to embrace a new sense of freedom. Men, on the other hand, favored tailored clothing, tailcoats, waistcoats, and cravats, creating a look of restrained yet sophisticated elegance. This was a time of elegance and simplicity, where fashion was both comfortable and refined. In the Regency period, clothing was all about understated elegance. For women, high-waisted empire gowns gave an illusion of height and grace. The simple cuts and flowing fabrics made these dresses both comfortable and stylish. Meanwhile, men's fashion became sharper, with cravats and tailored coats that emphasized clean lines. Regency fashion mirrored the political and social changes of the time, representing a move towards simplicity and freedom from the rigid court dress of earlier centuries. With the reign of Queen Victoria came a complete transformation in fashion. The Victorian era was all about grandeur and formality. Women's clothing became more structured, with tightly laced corsets that created the iconic hourglass figure. Dresses were full and voluminous, often supported by layers of petticoats and hoop skirts. For men, fashion became more sophisticated, with top hats, pocket watches, and sharply tailored suits becoming everyday attire. This was a time of elegance, where the attention to detail in clothing signaled both wealth and social status. Victorian fashion represented both social status and modesty. Women wore elaborate dresses supported by crinolines or hoop skirts, which created a dramatic, exaggerated silhouette. Corsets pulled in the waist and accentuated the bust, creating a feminine ideal that was both restrictive and fashionable. Men, too, were expected to conform to high standards of fashion, wearing well-tailored suits with waistcoats and completing their look with accessories like pocket watches and top hats. Fashion in the Victorian era wasn't just about appearance. It was about making a statement of power and wealth. By the late 1800s, the world was changing rapidly. The Industrial Revolution brought about new social classes, and the fashion of the time reflected this shift. While the wealthy still wore formal clothing, like tailored suits and intricate dresses, the working class needed more practical clothing. Women wore simpler dresses, and men's suits became more functional, with trousers and waistcoats taking the place of earlier, more ornate clothing. Industrialization also made clothing more affordable, allowing a wider segment of society to dress well, though the differences in style between the classes remained stark. The late 1800s saw an interesting divide in fashion. The industrial elite continued to wear elaborate suits and gowns, while the working class opted for simpler, more durable garments. The rapidly expanding factory towns were filled with men in trousers and women in practical dresses, designed to accommodate the new realities of factory work. At the same time, the wealthier classes still wore formal suits and evening dresses, showing the clear distinction between the haves and have-nots during this period of industrial change. As the Industrial Revolution progressed, new technologies like the sewing machine made fashion more accessible and affordable. For women, dresses became less elaborate, and the focus shifted to practicality. Men's business attire, too, became more streamlined, with suits designed for comfort and movement. Despite these changes, the divide between social classes remained. Fashion still told the story of wealth and status. The growing influence of technology was felt in every facet of life, and clothing was no exception. By the late 1800s, fashion reflected the changes brought on by industrialization. For the working class, clothing became more straightforward, with factory workers wearing simple, practical garments suited for long hours on the job. For the wealthy, clothing still adhered to formal styles, with men wearing three-piece suits and women in finely crafted dresses. The divide in clothing illustrated the growing gap between the industrial elite and the working class in the cities where industrialization had reshaped the landscape. From the elegance of the Regency period to the grandeur of the Victorian era, And finally, to the more practical clothing of the Industrial Revolution, fashion in the 1800s tells the story of a changing world. As new technologies emerged and social classes began to shift, clothing became a powerful symbol of one's place in society. So, which era's fashion do you find most fascinating? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to join us on more AI-powered historical journeys.